For Arlington Public News, I'm Damon Turbot, and today we're going to talk a little bit about wildlife education, and who better to talk about wildlife education with than these two people I'm joined by today, Amanda Kennedy of the Arlington Animal Control, and then John Magaranis, who is in Belmont Animal Control, and also you are the head of the Massachusetts branch of Project Coyote.
I'm the Mass rep.
You're the Mass representative of Project Coyote, and I was wondering if you could start by telling us a little bit about Project Coyote.
Project Coyote is an organization that strives to educate the public through compassion and coexistence with coyotes, basically.
And when was the project founded? And is it national, or you say you're in a Massachusetts branch?
Right. Project Coyote was founded, I believe, in 2008 by Camilla Fox, who's our director. And she's striving to get each state a representative. So not all states are covered at this time, but New England is fairly well covered.
All right, and Amanda, you've been working with him for a little bit. I was wondering, why Project Coyote, and why is this relevant in the town of Arlington?
People are operating often from a place of fear and lack of knowledge when they don't realize that there's all these huge benefits that these animals provide to us. Well,
I guess that's almost a double-edged question that I would have for you then. What are some of the misconceptions that people have about these coyotes, and what benefits do they have?
Well, people are concerned when they see them. First of all, just if they even see them out in the day, they're concerned, and they're not strictly nocturnal animals, and so that's something that's important for people to realize. And then when they do see them, they tend to be afraid that they're going to get attacked by them, or that their children are going to get attacked by them. And by nature, coyotes are really afraid of us, and we want to help maintain that. Some of the benefits are that they really help control the rodent population, which I know is something that residents in Arlington would like to definitely keep on the lower side.
Right.
And we don't want that to get out of balance. And it's just important to remember that we coexist with all of these animals, and we've spent so much time developing land that they do have less places to be, and so we have to figure out how to do that in a peaceful way.
And she mentions coexisting with these coyotes. Now, what's the easiest way for us to go about doing this?
Good question. Basically, we want to get educated on them. There's so much misinformation out there regarding coyotes. So basically, we encourage people to learn about them. I do a lot of public speaking. I just spoke in Arlington last week. So we want people to get educated on coyotes, because once they get educated, the fear level drops. They understand them, they're not afraid of them, and they're able to allow them to coexist in our communities.
A question I have is, there are a lot of quite different questions about the regulation of coyotes, and are they allowed to be hunted? When are they allowed to be hunted? I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about that.
Well, Mass Fish and Wildlife does have an established hunting season. I believe it's October through March. So the state does have a hunting season.
And now, what are your opinions on that, Amanda?
I'm not a huge fan of hunting. I think it's respectful when people are hunting in a responsible manner and are going to, use that meat and those products as a sport. I, morally have, some different opinions about that. I think it's important that we make sure that we're not over-hunting any particular species, right, and that the people that are hunting are doing it in a humane way. That's certainly something that's really important.
Now, you had mentioned that you just recently spoke in front of the town of Arlington, and you said about 20 people or so showed up. What were some of the questions that they had, and did anything really surprise you? Any questions that they had, or any information?
No surprises. Usually I get the same line of questioning. Are they nocturnal? Most people believe that they're nocturnal, and they're not. Most people are afraid of them being attacked, so when I explain how afraid they are of people, that kind of changes their way of thinking. Trying to think of other questions they ask me. Personal safety and pet safety is always a big issue, mm-hmm, and it's so simple. Dogs, as long as they're leashed, there's no issue. If your dog is close to you as a person, the chances of a coyote approaching you is slim to none. Cats, on the other hand, people choose to let cats outside. Every time there's a lost cat poster on a telephone pole, people usually blame coyotes. Right. But I can tell you, as an animal control officer, 9 times out of 10, it's a Chrysler, Dodge, or a Chevrolet. and the animal is found, you know, months later in dead in the bush or something like that. But coyotes will kill cats on occasion, but I think what people have to understand is they will prey on them if they're allowed to roam. So if you let your cat out roaming, it's free game. You know, you let them out in the wilderness, it's part of the wild. And unfortunately, you know, things eat things in the wild. So I would urge cat owners to bring them in.
Right, and you had told me that coyotes are not necessarily predators, and that they're actually sort of afraid of humans and aren't really looking to start any sort of conflict. You mentioned some information about hazing. I was wondering if you could explain a little bit more about that and how exactly that relates to keeping coyotes away from you.
First, I will say they are a predator.
Okay.
I mean, they are a predator. They're carnivore. And I think it's important to point out that Massachusetts last had a wolf in this state. The last wolf that was shot was like about 170 years ago. So we haven't had a top predator in the state. So what happens is all those other animals like rats, mice, rabbits, squirrels, their populations go. You know, they start growing because we don't have a predator out there. So the coyote has moved in and is filling that niche, and it's good for us. It's good to have free rodent control. So what was the second question?
The second question was about the hazing, and how does that relate to us keeping the coyotes away?
Okay, hazing is really important if it's done correctly, but the idea is that we kind of want to have coyotes around because of the free rodent control and the benefits they give us. So we want to have them around. But when people are afraid of coyotes and they see a coyote, they often go around it or back up or, you know, run away. And when coyotes see that over time, they get the sense that we're afraid of them. So then they act bold, which is basically a learned behavior, and they get more comfortable around people. And that's when they get in trouble, because then they show up in school grounds and backyards and places where people wouldn't think they would be. They're not there to attack people, but people interpret it that way. So what hazing does is it just kind of reminds them to be afraid of us. But it has to be done accurately and precisely, which is very simple, but it has to be done right in order for it to work.
Right, and Amanda, hazing is just one of a few different ways of being able to keep the distance between the coyotes and the humans. What other ways can we also bridge this gap between us?
Well, we certainly can reduce things that are going to attract them closer to our homes. So if you feed birds outside, it's a good idea to clean up bird seed. They're not looking for the bird seed, but the bird seed is going to attract rodents, which will attract the coyotes. And so that's something that you can do, covering your trash. Make sure you're not giving them a free meal. If you feed your cats outdoors, don't leave it out. It's because you're going to attract not just the coyotes, but a whole lot of other things. And just to follow up on what John was talking about with the hazing, one of the things that I just found so interesting when I heard him talk about it is it really is the basis of all animal training and behavior modification. And it was just so simple when he explained it, is that if we don't do the right thing, then we're teaching that animal the wrong lesson, and they're going to start responding to that. And so this idea that you want to, you know, if you're going to frighten them, you need to do it in a precise way, and you need to keep coming in a precise way so that you can make sure that they're learning the right lesson. And John has a group of people in Belmont that do sort of hazing, and some of the folks that were at the presentation were interested, and so we're going to see what we can do to figure out how to get a group of people who are willing to help us do it in the right way.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I'm sure more people would like to be willing to hear about this. So, John, if you wouldn't mind sharing where people can find out some more information about Project Coyote?
Yeah, they go to projectcoyote.org. The site is loaded with great information. You could sign up for their newsletter. It comes out about once a quarter, so you're not going to get bombarded with emails. And you can follow Project Coyote along with their accomplishments and achievements and what they've been doing around the country, which has just been phenomenal lately. But there's a ton of information in there. There's brochures, there's guides that you can download and print out. There's, you know, a gift shop, T-shirts and that kind of stuff as well. But there's a ton of information on there that people can look into. And they can also get contact information. If somebody was interested in having a presentation done in Vermont, they could go to the website and check out who's the Vermont representative. Or if there isn't one, then they can find the closest one and try to hook up with them and get it done.
It's definitely important to realize that Project Coyote seems to be a very large resource and very helpful for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much, Amanda. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you. Appreciate
For Arlington Public News, I'm Damon Turbot, and for more information on Project Coyote, you can check out projectcoyote.org. Thank you. Have a good night.